Sorry, that was my monitor cutting off because of the time it's taken. No, I won't be downloading L3D2 onto this computer because it's linked to my account and it's being used on the other computer, so I don't want to mess that up. Oh, why is she doing this? I think she's showing off for the camera, making it entertaining. Don't you think she looks like a time demon? Eating time. Arr. Arr. That was a good TV show, if you know what I'm on about. I think the guy in the show was called Edward, wasn't he? No, it's called something like House or something like that. Right, I want to make a rolly. Stop biting my arm. Oh, you've ripped my sleeve. Babe. Look at that. Absolutely brilliant. Chewed through it. That is exactly what I didn't want. Now stop it. You're behaving. I missed something out the misbehaving there. Get onto your own chat. Go on. Troublemaker. No, if you don't get this part set up properly, it won't work properly. So it's very important that you get it linked the way I showed you. And if you're like me and pick up a lot of malware and viruses and stuff, you probably want to do it on a separate drive to your Windows drive. Otherwise you're going to lose your projects. I've literally lost everything off my desktop, so I'm going to be setting it up slightly different so that it can be just on my other drive. So, has anybody heard anything about Arma 4 yet? I keep having a search now and then, and there's quite a lot of speculation and people saying about how they've finished with the old game engine and using the new game engine and stuff. But I'm wondering, are they just going to redo Arma 3 so it works on the new game engine? Because there's so much work gone into it. And I saw a comparison between Flight Simulator 2020 and Arma 3, and even though there's nearly a decade of difference in age, it's nearly as good, even on the old engine. So this process is happening in real time. I'm not cutting out or fast forwarding or anything. This is how long it'll take, unless you've got a much quicker computer. I'm using the old FX 9590, 32 gig of RAM, and I've got a, what is it, AMD 480 graphics card with 8 gig. Which makes it possible for me to stream because of the Radeon software that AMD use. Maybe that's another video I should do, like how to stream and use your AMD computer. Because a lot of streamers are like, oh, you gotta have the best chip and the best graphics card, and then you gotta have all these black boxes to capture everything. And it's like, well, I've got an old cheap PC and it does it all. The only thing I've had to watch is I've got to put a headset on so the speakers on my desk don't feed back to the mic on my webcam. Which is a problem I realised I'd been having when I've been streaming, so quite unfortunate. But I'll try and take you through everything, getting everything set up. I had to do a reinstall of my Windows, lost all my Blender files from my project boat, but I wasn't happy with it anyway. I won't be making a model or anything, just show you how to get the toolbox set up in Blender so that you can actually do armor modeling. Because a lot of these things you read about it and then you do what they say and it's all out of date and the file won't go across to the right place, and so I'll show you how I worked around it all. Because it literally took me from this stage now to having a model working in Arma about 2 weeks. So it's not that steep a learning curve. My screen paving. Wonder how that affects the stream. Does it have a black screen when it does that? Or is it still capturing the image? Wow, this has taken half an hour. That's quite impressive. I wonder how long this actually takes. So what I'm going to do now is make some backup files for, you don't have to do this, but this is what I'm doing. You see we've got the P drive there now. So this is my junk drive. I'm just going over to here, create a new folder. I'll call this original. Oh. So that would be like my original model in Blender. Can I create a shortcut that? Desktop is a shortcut, cool. So that's here. I'll move them up there. I'll do another one called model. This is just for backup purposes, because when your C drive goes, you lose all your data on your models and stuff. So I'll send the shortcut to the desktop for that as well. And then we'll do one for don't call it solid because it's being solidified, made solid for the game. We'll shortcut that. I'm just left clicking then right clicking on the file. Going to send to, and then desktop, create shortcut. I'll do one for n-gons, because when you've got your model made and it's solid and you convert it to n-gon, the model changes, so you don't want to mess up your original models. Left click, right click, send to a desktop. And do one called work, so I'm working on it. And we want one called sample. Because this is where you'd keep your samples from Arma 3 samples that you use to make your models work, if you're not a genius with Python and scripting. And I reckon that should be enough files to back it up. Because obviously these files are now just links to my secondary hard drive, which won't get formatted when I have malware or virus problems. And I shouldn't lose my projects and the different stages I'm working at. So when I was originally making the model when it's kind of completed, when I've solidified that model, which I'll probably caused some mess ups. Done the N-Gon conversion with the Arma toolbox in Blender, so it's actually exportable as a P3D. Work I'm doing at the current time, the samples that are from the Steam Arma 3 samples, like the test boat, say, like I showed you. And because they're not actually on my desktop, they'll be saved on the secondary hard drive. But they won't be linked to the P drive or anything. I'll show you that when this is finished, because I found it very confusing working in Blender and having your original file and then you've made a mistake and you've already saved it, or it automatically saved, and you've lost your original model and you're going to have to start again just because they're solidifying and the N-Gons. It got pretty confusing. Program terminated. Press a key. Now that's done. So now here we have your P drive, and in the P drive, oh, my test boat's still there. Excellent. So that was my test boat file that I was putting all the items in. So I had the texture, so, you know, the print that goes onto the ship. It's converted from a PNG to a PAA, which is part of the text to view thing. Also had the CUV, which is this UV map in Blender, basically, these to give textures. The actual P3D. Now you can't open this file with Object Builder or Blender, you've actually got to import it, but obviously you can't import a P3D into Blender till you've done the Blender Arma 3 toolbox. So we'll have a look at that now. Have we installed Bulldozer? Let's have a look, see if this works. Open with, and we want Object Builder. Object Builder's there now. Is it actually opened? I did not read the whole license. Really? No. Oh, what is all this? So, here's my model boat. And here's the sample geometry that I linked to it. That's the things. So that's my model boat, but as you see, when I've solidified it, it's got more points and it's a bit messed up, so I was going to redo it. I didn't realise it was going to still be on my hard drive. But that's how you open a P3D in Object Builder. And then this is what it'd be like. And then you select the whole thing, go to structure, topography, find the components. I'll bring up these. I'm not going to click it because it's already done. And then you can press E. I guess you've got to have it all selected. Press E. That'll bring up this. Remember them AUV PAA things? So I'll remove the beginning of like the P drive or whatever drive it's on. Just where the file is located, so that's the test boat, the AUV.p thing, then applied it, then OK, and then saved it. This is all from the sample file, but that's done in Blender, the Arma toolbox. So let's have a look. Arma 3 Blender toolbox. Down to the bottom. How do we download this again? Oh, there we are. Save file. Okay. So that's downloaded. I'm also going to need a program called 7-zip. There's other programs like WinZip and stuff. So mine's 8 core. Any more than 4 core, it's 64-bit. If it's a dual core, it's 32-bit. Download latest version for Windows. So that'll be downloaded. So first of all, we'll run that one. Install that. Close that. We'll go and get 7-zip. Let's open that. Now I know my download Arma toolbox will be in my downloads. Down to users, name that you use. Down to downloads, 7-zip. Oh, we've done Arma, there we are. So let's get a file, new folder. Arma 3 toolbox. Right click that, 7-zip, extract files. We want it to go to this folder, so we open that, desktop, Arma toolbox, OK, and then click OK. That's all in there now. So that'll be the armor tools PYI. Now I'm gonna have to remember how I did this. So let's open Blender. We want general. We right click, delete. So what we're looking for is, I believe, in edit, preferences, and add-ons, and in here you will have your armor toolkit, but it's not going to be there yet. So I think this is what it says to do, but I don't think it works. How is that in there? So that hasn't worked. We can just type in armor, nothing there, or tool. See, there's not in there. So what I did, I went to, oh, what was it? Blender, was it? Where is it? I can't see my Blender file. I wonder what that is. Oh, it's apparently in here. Oh, I installed my Blender into my junk file. Okay. I don't want to run the application. Ideally I should have unpacked my blender into a file instead of all over my junk drive mixed in with everything else. Oh, I wonder what the file's called. Let's see. Let's just bring up the blender files. Or what I could do uninstall the blender, it's all a bit unnecessary, but I've got to work out what I did last time to get it to work. And I can't do that with it splooned across my junk drive. Right, so we've uninstalled Blender. I guess in my downloads file I'll have Blender. There we are. So I'll go to my junk file where I want it. A new folder. Call that Blender. Right, now let's go to my downloads. Install Blender. Next, accept. I want it to be on my junk drive, Blender folder. Okay. Next, install. Finish. So now inside my junk file, I should have my Blender file. Now this is what I couldn't see through. What are we looking for? 2.9 data files, was it? Fonts, USD. Oh, where was it? Grips, maybe? Add-ons. Was it modules? PYs. So you remember we had the right click here, File Explorer, to open a new one, and where did we? Oh, we put it up here, didn't we? That's it. So desktop, Arma Tools, Blender, toolbox, Arma Tools, right click, copy, right click over here where there's no files, paste, drops that in. Now we can open up Blender, General, right click, delete, edit, preferences, add-ons, hopefully I'll put it in the right place. Maybe not. Oh well. I'm going to try that again. Modules. I wonder if it was add-ons. I'll try it here. Right click, still got it copied from the other one. Pasting it. There we are. Let's close that and do that again. Edit, preferences, I still can't see it. How did I do that last time then? Must be Arma Tools. Maybe if we just restart Blender, maybe. Usually it's near the top. No. Let's take note of these files. That's the toolbox one. We want the other one. The Blender file. 2.9. Pretty sure it was. And the scripts. Oh, which one is it now? Let's have a look in these. Just seeing if any of these cross-reference to these files here. I love doing things like this. I can't believe it hasn't worked. It did for me last time. But I'm obviously doing something slightly not right. Well, we've got curve tool there. That says curves. Oh, why doesn't this work? What's that? I'm sure I saw arma after. Well, that's add-ons. This is add-ons. Usually up here at the top, it worked last time. So I'm holding down shift to left click on the mouse to highlight them all. But I'm not getting the armor file I'm supposed to. Maybe I need to restart the computer, which will end the stream. So I don't know what to do. Let's have a look, see what's going on. See what the old Google information says. Now we got to look at a video, but we can't look at this. Does it give instructions? Download the file, place it on your disk, open user preference, then Blender add-ons page, click install from file. More through introduction or usage tutorial can be found here. More on Blender, including the download, completely free, can be found on Blender website. But obviously that didn't work, did it? Oh, I remember on a program that brings up a map view with topography to insert into Blender. That was another add-on. So what we'll try, add-on, install, we go to downloads where the zip file is, because and we got it. Excellent. So now we have the armor toolbox. That worked the correct way that time. How weird. Didn't work for me that time. It worked the other way, dragging the file across and putting it in manually. But now, up here, we have the armor tools. So you click armor 3, and if we've got an object, so let's add a mesh, so cube, Now we can make it an armor object. Now, before you can export that as a P3D, so you remember them files I set up, so we can save as, and then I put it on my desktop, and we put like the original. So save it as untitled, save time. Well, we'll have to call it something. Call it A, and we save it, and then that's saved in there. But that's just to back it up because we're working on things. But what you do, so if you wanted this, you go to File, go down to Export or Import if you're importing a P3D. So Arma P3D, and we'll save it in the backup file, original, export, and that P3D will now be in my backup file, but that's no good for the game because that actually needs to be put into your P drive, into a file here, which mine are already set up. So if we want a new file, just come over here, right click, new folder, we'll call it example. So then that will be in the P drive, and then we can look through, and there it is, example. But that won't work as a PBO builder. For it to be a file to load into the game, what you do, create a new folder, and give it the @ key, so that's shift and then the @ key, and then we'll call it example. So this would be the name that would pop up on the mod list. So then we double left click on it, open it up, and we'll create a file called add-ons, right click, new folder, add-ons, and then in here you'd extract your PBO to. So an example of that would be where's PBO builder, add-on builder, that's the one. And what we have here, so the source directory, so that example file is on P drive, so that's where the add-on's going. So we look down here to add-on, where I put all the files. Okay, so that's the example. Now you want it to be in the as a PBO, and it's got to be in that format. So go down to that, and there's the add-on we're going to use. So okay, and I don't want to binarize it because once it's binarized you can't work with it. So, and then you just click pack. Obviously it won't pack anything now because there's no files in there to be packed. But if you dropped in the files, say from the Arma 3 samples, which I haven't put into here yet, it would pack them for you and you'd be able to open them in Arma. I'll show you. Not Arma 3, Arma 3, that's it. And that starts up. It's a fresh install, so it's going to take a second. So if we go up to here, mods, and here's some mods I've been using. We haven't got any of the mods that I've been working on, so I'll just go up to local mods, then I'll go to my P drive, and I'll use my test boat because that's got data in there. Obviously that was the test boat file there. Select folder, that's brought it in, click that, let's put it at the top there, and now I can play with that mod. Right, to find these sample files, it's a different cup of tea. Now I've edited the config file so it pops up under Bluefall. The original sample file actually pops up under civilian. You'll have to edit that in the config file using Notepad. Or some scripting tool like dev or something like that. So it's loading my add-on now. It's not really my add-on, it's just oh, it might be actually my model boat. It's a bit messed up and needed working on, but obviously I had to reinstall my C drive because it got malware and viruses on. So obviously some of it was backed up to the junk file, but I don't know how much of it. So all I do is go up here, server browser. I don't want to do boot camp. I want my firewalls to allow things. Back to the game. coast, land's fine, not bothering anybody on your local area. And then whatever map you want, 3D editor, press play. I think I need to adjust my graphics a bit, but what I do here, so map, find some water, left click on the camera, bring it to where I want. There we are. Now see, under blue 4 I've got civilians, which is a new class because I changed the config file in the sample boat file. It usually comes up as civilian over here. So civilian, boats, my police boat test. Right, drag that in. Because I've changed the scale in Object Builder in the Arma tools, the animation's got a bit of a mess up, but I can't actually drop into this now. But we can come off map and it'll just have the area. So there's my boat, and so then we'll have to grab a normal boat and we'll plonk that there. That will actually give us a person we can be, so we double click that if you want to make it playable, and then we just click play scenario, click ourselves in. Okay, continue, drops us in the game. There's my boat, so I press star on the number pad to look about. Now as you see, the textures for the windscreen have ended up on the hull because of a VMAP error, but change view by the number pad enter. So I'm going to click the mouse wheel, eject from this boat, swim over to my boat, click the mouse wheel, get into my police boat. So got a view of my boat and change view. See, the inside view is the original sample boat, and now I can, oh, I'm not in the driver's seat with the mouse wheel, and then now, if your boat is floating on the water or too deep, you can adjust that in your Blender when you're setting up the P3D export, because you lay your model over the sample model, make the sample model not an armor model, and you make your model the armor model, and then you get all the physics and stuff and the geometry to work for your boat. I've rescaled it so the sample boat is as big as mine, so it looks like I'm actually hitting something and not going through them. Anyway, back to where we were. Hope you like my sample boat, my boat. It's not the sample boat, but that's my boat. But I'll show you in Blender how to import a P3D and stuff now. I'm not an expert by any means, you know. I've been learning this for 2 weeks, reading what I can, following what instructions I can find. Generally I've found that the really clever people can't teach the information that you need to know, and they kind of brush over it and say, oh, this is already installed, this is already done, and it's like, leaves you amiss. So what we've got your P3D. We'll get rid of that and we'll go here, file, import your P3D. Be careful with your import and export P3Ds, because you can accidentally export something you didn't want into your P3D file that you did want. Hence why I've got so many files to back up my files in case I make that kind of thing. So I'm importing a P3D. I haven't actually. Oh, have I got anything? Well, I've got that, but that's hardly a good example. Let's go to here. We've got these samples in here. RST. So we haven't got the samples in here. Okay, let's do that then. We did bring the samples in, didn't we? Where did we put them then? So go to add-ons. I want the test boat, so right click on it, copy, go to my sample file. I can't see, we'll just open that, right click, paste, so that's in there now. We haven't got the samples in here. So that last file I just did was my backup file. So we'll new folder, samples, right click it, paste it, and now the samples will be in there. So we go back to Blender, General, right click, delete, file, import, P3D, P drive, samples, test boat, P3D, that's what we want, import, and there's the P3D of the sample boat. You can resize it whatever you want. There's multiple layers here, so if we open that, click Arma 3. Oh, we're not selected. What's going on here? Open X-ray. Well, that is supposed to have, you know, the selectors are armor objects up here, but it's saying it's not applicable. We've got multiple levels there. I wonder if I can import on my P3Ds. Not the sample test boat, because that's the original. I want Let's see if my backup file has a P3D in. Import. So now you see that's my model. It's in X-ray vision there. So what you do then is, because it's all funny shapes, arma 3, armor tools, Tesla all not non-quads, and that'll make it so it's exportable as a P3D with the funny shapes. If you don't do that, it'll tell you you've got a problem with your n-gons in errors here. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to mess up the model. And then also armor objects, you see. So that's the armor 3 tools and the armor 3. So that's n-gons. But if we select the sample boat, we make that, see it's got all the drive and the cargo and the different layers within that. If you see, it all changes the different layers. So it's just the first layer you want, so you get that and then click that, and you make that not an armor object, you make this an armor object, you do your n-gons things, you go file, then export as a P3D, and then you'd put that into your samples file on your P drive. Then you'd go to your armor tools, add-on builder, and that would export it to your samples add-on file, which then you could open and have in the game. So I think I've covered everything. I hope I haven't spent too much of your time. Sorry I couldn't shorten it as I was doing a live. Hope you liked my model. I'm really pleased to see I've still got it. I thought I'd completely lost that, to be honest. Just by some fluke it's still there. There's a few other things. You can sign your files with, I believe is it DS Utilities? That'll mean that other people can't open your file and work with your file. I'm not actually going to do that because I want people to be able to work on my model boat, make it better, add guns and missiles and all the stuff I haven't learnt yet. I'm planning to open the sample file of the tank and the config file of the tank and transport them over to my boat to give my boat a gun turret. So then hopefully it'll be firing as well as moving and being solid. Now, you know I showed you in Blender the little boat inside. That would be the only bit that's solid. So if you went into a rock or any other item, it'd come all the way up to here, and all this wouldn't be solid either. So what I did there was I selected my boat, I moved it across, actually I think I grew it actually in Object Builder. I changed the size of this in Object Builder actually. So I open the P3D of that file, I'll show you now, close that, don't save because I don't want to work on it. Got the samples up here, haven't we? Test boat, P3D test boat, right click, open with, Object Builder. Now we've got that object in here. See, it's got all the geometry and stuff. That's all the clever stuff. But what we're going to do is take the whole thing and Where was it? I don't remember which one it was. I'll have to click through them. Well, that's to select the face, touch the faces rather than the separate points. Oh, where is it? I generally switch face culling off so you can actually see the whole model, because that'll only show the face of the model that's the right way around. But I use solidify in Blender to make both sides visible, but that creates its own problems. How did I change the size of this? Transform, scale, and to fit my model it was I don't think that's correct. Maybe it was this way. Well, that's obviously height. Maybe it's that one then. And that made the P3D, okay, the size of mine, which meant the geometry meant the rocks when it was in. So I could go and save that now, which I'm not going to, because I don't want to mess up my sample file, and probably save it as into my work file as the sample P3D, and then bring them all into Blender, match them up like I showed you, and that's all. I'm sort of geometry fixed. Let's have a quick look at the config file actually. So we've got config, right click, open with Notepad. Who'd have thought you can do programming? So the first thing I did after I got the models laid into the water at the right height using the Blender and export P3D, I looked through here and I found, oh, we're already at the bottom, okay. Here. So here we've got 3 stands for civilians, and that is a number 3. So that's why it's in the editor of when you start the game under civilians. So I changed that to a 1 for blue 4, and that brought it up under the, found it under blue 4. Now another thing I changed was the boat speed, and that was changed by the engine power. So the standard speedboat engine for the sample was 235. For the size of my model I had to put it up to about 400. Now if you do a silly amount of horsepower, your boat will just stand up, pull a wheelie, and not very look realistic, and you probably get very unrealistic speeds as well. I only wanted my boat to do 40 knots because that's a realistic speed for a boat of its type to do. and then you just go file, once you've changed that number, you go file, save, repack your P3D with your add-on builder, do your thing in the Arma game, the mod, reselect it, load up the game, and them things will have changed. So if this helps you, hopefully you can help me and subscribe. I don't mind if you don't watch any more videos or anything, but I really need you to subscribe so I can actually make some progress on YouTube. I'm using very limited equipment. Like, this is my camera, it's hardly anything fancy. When I'm not using that, I'm using an old S5 with a broken screen, so I'd like to make some advances. Like, look at my headset, it's as cheap as anything, and my mate bought it for me. So that was very kind of him. Right, hope you have a good day, and I hope this video helped you out. Have fun, and hopefully I'll see some of your mods. Message me if you want, I'll try to help. I am a noob, don't know much of it all. I did like a 2-hour course with the Open University with Open Learn on programming in Python. It took me a whole day to do the 2-hour course, but I managed to do what they asked of me, which was a shopping receipt with separate items and separate pricings. So that was quite a fun thing to help me learn a bit of Python programming. But I think the scripting in the config file, it's self-explanatory, and you've got the file because they give you it in the samples. So thanks for watching.